Okay.
We are launching a rocket.
They can hear you, by the way. I haven't switched the audio off. And we're live. Today we have an exciting stream for you. We have not one, not two, but maybe 4 or 5 people on the stream. And we're going to not only talk about development, but talk about testing and the importance of testing. Would you drive a car not having brakes that are tested? No. So why would you have software that does payments, that does your private data? Why would you have that without testing? So we have a mix of people, and without further ado, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and let's get them on the stream. And I have a button here somewhere. Here we go. So at the top of the list on the stream, we have Sergey. So Sergey, tell us about yourself, tell us what you do, and tell us a bit about UTOR.
So the first thing, I'm on board now. So the second thing is that I'm CEO of UTOR. It's Ukraine Tests and Requests. Like, we cover everything in development related quality. For now, that's it. Who is next? Alex.
Alex.
Yeah, hi. My name is Alex. I'm helping Sergey with UTOR in terms of technical things and maybe some else things. Probably that's it.
Cool. So, Andrew.
Hello, and you probably normally see me with Eddie on the Code Mortals channel we run together. Eddie and I have worked together for many, many years on many projects, and obviously we try to bring best practices to those projects when we're working with our clients. So testing is very important to us in doing that and making sure that the clients get the quality they deserve.
Yeah, and my name is Victor. I'm working as a quality engineer for more than 5 years. So I'm here as an in-field engineer, familiar with different projects and with some working experience.
Cool. So I think we can start to dig into your project. Like, what do you do in your project? What is it about? So.
Yeah, Andrew wrote most of this. So Andrew, do you want to talk more about this, or shall I get into this?
We're talking about the Code Mortals website, are we?
Yes. Hopefully everyone watching can see the screen and it's good size for them. Let me know any problems. But yeah, Andrew, what is Code Mortals?
What's Code Mortals? I suppose it started its life as being the idea of building a community of developers and talking to developers about best practices, what it is they're working on, seeing if we can help advise and improve the things they're working on. We're now doing meetups. So we've been running meetups now for, gosh, how long? 4 or 5 months now. Getting a good following on those. We have a Slack channel as well. You can join the Slack channel from the website. If you want to join us, by all means, get on the Slack channel via the website. And then, yeah, more recently, we're starting to actually try and pick up some clients, and we're hoping we can make use of our community when we do pick up some projects to fulfill kind of the needs of those clients as well. So
I'm going to butt in there, Andrew.
Full circle with things.
You've given me an idea. In our Slack channel, maybe we need a testing kind of channel. Does that make sense? We need a testing thread or section so we can talk about testing. But sorry, Andrew, carry on. I just saw Sergey's face as you said Slack. His eyes lit up, and I was like, right, we need a testing one.
I'm in that Slack.
Awesome.
So it's an invitation.
I hope everyone that's on this call is in our Slack channel.
Exactly. And I hope you've subscribed to our YouTube channel as well. I have put a link in the chat. And I did a video with Sergey probably a few months ago. It is on my YouTube channel, and I'll put a link in the comments later. And we had a really good conversation about what he's achieved, because he's got quite a big company. I think, Sergey, you've got over 40 people now?
Yeah.
And you have clients in, I think, UK, US, and all over the world, really.
US, Israel, Germany, so all over the world.
Nice.
I had on Bali, but still I don't have clients in Bali.
I think you should move your head office maybe to Bali. What does the rest of the team think? Victor
That's what
and
I'm
Alec?
like next winter to move all our team to Bali for a few months to live here and chill. Yeah.
And maybe you need some community people like Code Mortals to come and join you and get you food and drink and stuff.
No, I'm in for any party. So yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So I've noticed you and your team have started looking at the Code Mortals website because we have seen some test emails come through from the contact form. So just for people watching, let me take you through to the Code Mortals. So the project is open source, so you can see it, and this is the actual project here. So if you see any issues, we're going to raise issues today, raise some pull requests, whatever we get time to do, whatever you want to do, feel free to get involved. So it is open source, it is here. And yeah, so what was your first impressions with the website? And then I have some questions for you and your team later on.
The first thing, I like when the website says, like during 3-5 seconds, like what does it mean? It's not testing, actually, it's for marketing purpose, but like I wanted to see the big sign, like we do this, like, and then I started to dig, like, okay, what do you do? Like, what is this? And then just jump from one page to another page to understand what's going on there. So it's like was my first expression.
Okay, that's good to know. We need to, I guess, focus more on what it does. I know Andrew mentioned developers, but we're inclusive. Testers, BA. We had a BA come to us. We had some ops people come to our events. We've had quite a range of people. So yeah, okay. I mean, we've got some topics at the top, kind of agile, open source, best practices. But I'm sure we can improve on that. So anyone watching, if you've got any suggestions, raise an issue on GitHub, raise a pull request, feel free.
Woohoo! By the way, how many people working on this project?
At the moment, I think it's just, I say Andrew and me. It's mostly Andrew doing the work, me reviewing it, and that's it. So it's quite early, but we have started growing our team. Because we've got the core team, which is Andrew and me, and we have slightly got a wider team. So Janine and Praveen help out at events and mentor. So we are starting to grow that side, and people are asking if they can get more involved. But in terms of the coding, yeah, it's mostly just Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, we put up the homepage, I think, when we registered the domain. So that was put up in about half a day, very quickly, that landing page. We then added some authentication because we thought a bit of GitHub authentication might be nice to build up some profiles in the future, which we haven't yet done much more with. And we're very keen, obviously, on the event side. So we put a little events area together in a contact form, but they're all very light touch right now. So one of the things I have open on my other screen right now is getting the tests sorted out so that we can hopefully get some tests up onto the project, maybe during this stream, but we'll see.
And you can see our stream today is listed. And then if I click on it, I don't know, I just took a picture and I didn't know where to put it, so I put it at the YouTube Space London because I'd noticed, I guess, using it more, Andrew, it was required to put a location. So I just put YouTube Space London. It's obviously not there. So anyone watching, don't go to the YouTube Space in London. We're not there. And yeah, I found, I think, a bug already.
And can you tell us what kind of functionalities do you have on this website? Like I suggest logging, log out, and what else you have there?
Sure. So with once you're logged in, I mean, so the events page is public, but when you log in, you get add event, and you can log in just with your GitHub account. So if you do want to log in, you can, and then you can register an event, location, dates. If it's multiple days, you can add multiple days. And then once you've added it, it comes to the list. Once it goes into history, it drops off. We probably need a historic tab or section off, which I think they're always interesting to see and good for SEO. Here's another one that I added as well, an event I'm going to on Monday. Then we have the services section, which is more just static information.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go through these pills, Again, this is all static information. And contacts, you have a contact form, which we use SendGrid. Is that correct, Andrew?
That's right. SendGrid sends the email for us.
So we've got that, and then you've got once you're logged in, you've got your profile page, and you can put your social links. And we need to work more to have a directory of our community. So they can not only collaborate on Slack, but also other areas. And I think we want to tie up Slack to this as well. So maybe put their Slack username so people can start the conversation from here or vice versa. So did I miss anything else, Andrew?
Oh, was I getting the mute button? Yes, I think the only thing that you could perhaps add is we're also using Google's API for locations. So we're looking up locations on fields using Google's API. So you can start typing things if you want to add a location. I know you mentioned it about putting the YouTube space in earlier. So.
Oh yeah, this is true. This part here, venue. So if I just go, is UTOR listed? Oh, I can't spell it. UTOR, Ukraine. No. Oh, it auto corrected. UTOR, Ukraine. Oh, it is there. Is that the right address?
Yeah.
You're on Google. There's no hiding.
Yeah. That's true. Cool.
Nice. So that proves that it works. That wasn't practiced beforehand. So that's good. I was going to say something else and I forget.
I just wanted to ask how many people you have in your community? How many developers?
So the community is quite spread out across different social platforms. So I think on Instagram we're about 100. On Twitter I think we're about similar. On the meetup space, on the meetup group, we're about we're over 1,000 now. But that's focused on London, so 1,000 people in London. And then on YouTube, I think 250. And then on Slack, I haven't got it open, but I'm guessing approaching 100, Andrew. I don't know if you've got it open and you can check. So collectively, probably across everything, approaching 2,000.
Cool.
The Slack channel's a little bit less than that. You're about 50 in the general channel alone. So it depends how many have left the general channel, I suppose. I'm just using that as a quick stat.
Yeah, I think that's fine. So okay, about 50. Okay, let's no thought.
Okay, and what the current goal of this project, like, if you consider the next year, like, what do you want to get from it? What do you want to improve it here? And what kind of gaps do you see now we have?
Yeah, so a bit more on the event side, I guess. So the ability to follow people on events. So you can say, I want to know where Eddie's going, and it can keep you in touch of this is the stuff that Eddie's up to. Or you want to see where I'm going, which would be quite quick. You'll probably see 3 or 4 events every year. And then obviously, aside from being able to follow people and see what events people are going to, we were also considering how do we kind of identify people in the community that have got certain skill sets. So we've got sort of ideas around, I don't know if anyone was ever a scout or something like that, but the idea of giving people badges to say you've got at this kind of level, and the community perhaps can hand out their own badges as well. So people that are experienced in, say, testing can say these guys, yep, they've done enough stuff with testing that we would give them kind of an entry level badge to testing, and that will help as well when we do start to find clients through Code Mortals to identify certain skill sets to work on those projects with us too. So we want to try and build that ecosystem around it. It's a place where people can understand who's good, they can connect with those people, they can ask them questions, and then hopefully extend that out more into the event space as well, and potential training in the future, and put on training events where some of those people that are doing well from, I say, the sort of the badges or the awards they've received can come and talk at those events and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can also. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and it still will be an open source project, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll stay open source all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're really passionate about growing our open source side. That's a big passion of ours. And then we feel that if we build up the community, because we've got a lot of contacts in the company world, so we've built up the community side. We're quite keen to join those two together. So hopefully reduce the friction between people finding work and companies finding good people. So that's like one of our long-term goals.
Mm-hmm. I like this goal, actually. It's similar. Similar to our case, because we started from community as well. But we had just only in the Slack community, and we invited different speakers. Actually, Eddie, do you remember you were one of the speakers in our community like 10 months ago? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe we still appear to be a community.
I'm waiting for the next invite.
Okay.
Okay.
so you don't have key engineers in your team. And I think role is on Eddie, because you're reviewing, right? All the new features.
Yeah, so Andrew's doing all the hard work, and I'm reviewing them, and being the pest that says, this bit needs changing, this bit. It's usually really good, actually. It's usually fine because we're usually on the same page. But everyone makes mistakes, no matter how good people are. So just a second pair of eyes really helps. And we do have automated tests. So if I switch to here, we do have some Cypress testing, and this is again a light touch, but we do have some features here. I think Andrew's working on some more at the moment. So again, these do run on CI, and at the moment we are using one more. We're using Circle, I think, but we're probably going to move towards GitHub Actions, especially with the GitHub Actions Hackathon coming up in March, where if you can get loads of swag. It's a bit kind of like Hacktoberfest, but in March time. So that's pretty cool.
And how you define what you should automate, what you're automating actually? Or you just passing through everything?
That's a really good question. We try to cover most features, but we haven't in this case. Again, this is not being unfortunately our number one priority. We have client work as well, so this always falls to the waistline. We haven't been so good in our code coverage, but usually functionality. We want things to work and also to test the boundary condition as well. But this one we've been, again, very, very light.
Unless I could share my local machine where I do have 100% coverage now on the API.
If it's not pushed up, it doesn't exist. Is that
So
right?
I need to get the 2 failing tests working before I can push it up. But yeah, it's at 100% coverage right now.
Okay, so we're almost there. So always making improvements. I can. Who have we got as contributors?
I just want to clarify, like, if to consider the pyramid of tests, like the first stage is unit testing. Like, do you cover your code by unit tests, and what the percentage of the coverage?
We don't do unit tests. We've just done the end-to-end tests. Being Firebase, it's more tightly coupled. So yes, there are functions, and when they have more business logic in them, then we would probably want to unit test those. But at the moment, I think it's mostly just HTTP requests, and you'd mock those out anyway. So at the moment, we're trying to be sensible and test what adds value rather than test everything. And doing the end-to-end tests in Cucumber allows us to cover a lot more. Yes, we can't test all the boundary conditions. There are benefits, especially when it comes to the server-side code on the functions. Then they
say that. I disagree with that statement there, though.
That's fine. You can disagree. Where's that mute
100%
button?
coverage without unit tests, and we know what code is actually being used. So I have a few bugbears when it comes to unit tests. We can discuss that in a minute if you like. But yeah, I believe that having spent many years writing lots and lots of unit tests, you can get swamped down in efficiencies and lack of efficiencies if you're writing all your coverage with unit tests. I think unit tests are very important for niche areas, but I think an end-to-end test, the way we do them is different. They're not really the true end-to-end. We're mocking out anything that has an interaction somewhere so we can fully control what goes on. But what we're experiencing is what is the endpoint. So if you've got an API call, so our back end is an API, it's a REST API. We call that REST API with a standard request, and we can pass in whatever request we want. We can form that with missing data, etc. And then we can hit the API, and then we can respond back with a mock for all those calls. One thing we might do on a client project where we have a bit more budget available, let's say, is we might also introduce happy path tests that go all the way to the actual API to see what the API is doing, then becoming a more true end-to-end test. So I'd say the way we write our end-to-end tests is closer to a unit test than an end-to-end test, but it's hitting the entire stack of code, so we know where any dead code might lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what do you, out of interest, sorry, if you're going to say something, I was just going to say, what do you recommend to your clients and dig a bit more into what you do? But I'll be quiet for a second. Sorry, carry on.
Actually, like each client is different. different technologies, different goals, and different type of automations we use. Like it's totally different. And I don't know, Alex, if you want to share some cases, like last.
Yeah, I would even say even the tech stack matters here. So the generic approach is to test everything from bottom to top, right? So to have the unit test and the integration, then the system functional tests with the UI and cross testing of the API backend DBs, etc. stuff, and then passing through the acceptance layer. But again, some steps could be missing or covered on another layer due to the project needs and actually the due dates. So the testing is always handles between the possibilities and the time. We can test everything, but it will continue forever, right? So when we are fitting in some timelines, we have to identify what is most important for us. Yeah.
Do you have any concrete examples of that? Can you give some examples of what is important to us? Be interested to know.
Okay, so from my experience, and also there are some investigation on this for some applications, especially if we're talking about the startups, they usually prefer given to their clients even the fresh version, the alpha version of their application with only the key feature working, but it's also okay for them to dive into the market and to find the space in this market. Because if you spend a half of a year for making things work, to making it brilliant, you can just miss the moment for diving into the market. So from our perspective, we are always trying to understand what is the actual client need. Usually we're calling it sort of a customer's pain, because people came to us with some pain. They have some bugs or problems in their process, and what we need to find is the root cause of it, not just to cover things with automation tests. We are trying to understand what is the real requirement and how can we help our clients. And often it's we suggest some changes in process or in CI/CD process, but not just the performance of testing. We're not performance only testing. We try to go deeper into these questions.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes the setting, sometimes we get a request like, we need QA automation. Okay, you needed QA automation. Why do you need it? Like, tell us about your QA processes inside. Oh, we have 2 manuals engineers, and I think we need automation to make it faster. Okay, and we started like question by question, going deeper and deeper, and then we realized that they don't have QA processes at all. They have just few engineers, manual engineers. They don't know what does it mean regression testing.
Like monkeys.
Yeah, like no process, and that's why it's important them not to hire QA engineer, like automation QA engineer. It's better to hire a QA analytic, like the team lead, QA head of lead, like doesn't matter how to call him, but the person who will set up all the process and inject it, like to set up it into development. And that's why like today we are considering not like only testing. We consider like the whole thing with development in the same time, because it was before, like, for example, in Waterfall, we just considering the testing as the last stage, and it's like totally wrong. It's one of the biggest mistakes. It is the process, and it should be done properly. That's why, like, after such requests, we end up like, guys, you need firstly to set up a key processes, not to hire a key automation engineer. And after a few months, they get an automation engineer. They know why they need it. They have test cases, what to automate. They understand why.
So you raise a really good point. I want to kind of dig a bit deeper. I'm really keen to obviously get some feedback on our open source website and our platform. But before we get there, I'm really keen to dig a bit deeper into how often do you get requests, and how, I guess, what percentage of those are doing it right, or almost right, and obviously no one's perfect, and what percentage of them are doing it like so wrong that you're debating whether you should work with them or not, like it's so bad?
The common mistakes actually, which we face with during communicating with our potential clients. For example, sometimes they don't have engineers at all. They use developers, project managers, even CEOs and CTOs. They test in their product. Like what? They're losing their profit. They're losing the quality because they are not experts in QA engineering, because they should know like techniques, how to create the test cases, how to do all the QA stuff. It's not like easy thing. And also, like development costs, it's much higher than QA costs. So why developers should do testing when the QA can do it? Another thing is that I don't know how, but somehow a company survives like to 50 people, 50 developers without testers. Like what? How it's possible? How you survived? And that's why they come to us and say, okay, guys, I think we need to cover all the quality QA department using your engineers. And so we help in such cases. Sometimes, like 3-4 weeks ago, we had a consulting session, and there was a case. They had 3 QA engineers, four QA engineers, and all of them had less than a year of experience in testing. Like, it's a very cheap QA department. Yeah, have QA department, but it's like with low quality.
We see that a lot, actually. We do see a lot of places where they spend a lot of budget on the developers, and then lots of senior developers, and then they get lots of junior testers, and they don't.
And the problem is, like, what the cause? The cause of this situation is they don't know how to show the client who working with them why testing is important. That's why they try to trick the client and put the price of testers into developers, just small amount, like 5-10%. Like, that's not enough, and that's why they don't have enough money to hire good engineers and to provide a good quality.
So before we dig into the tech side and the website, in an ideal world, what would you say the ratio should be between developers and testers? A lot of places, I think, do kind of a 3-to-1, so 3 developers, 1 tester, or 4-to-1. Is that too much? Is that too little? What would you recommend in an ideal, perfect scenario, ignoring budget? What's the perfect or near perfect solution?
Yeah, I would say, ideally the big companies having the, like empiric metric, they saying that 1 QA should cover 3 developers. In most of the cases that works, but if there is a kind of specific product, like for example, if it's a testing of a Linux course or something like that, tricky things, there should be more QA passed to the developers, even to have the 1 QA guy per developer. That depends on how much testing effort will require to cover the functionality which is produced by the development.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd like to add a few words. Personally, I don't like these metrics for QA engineers per developer, because it also hugely depends on the development process in a company. Because I've heard about the companies that don't even have the QE position actually, but it requires a lot of responsibility and understanding of QE process itself. So basically, it always this metric is always specific to the process, because when you have CI process, when you have automation tests and stuff covered, you don't need so many manual testers work. But yet, in some other cases, you'll need to have a lot of manual investigation and all these things. So it's very specific to the process and the product itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's better to measure the key engineers according to the amount of work need to be done, rather than measuring them by the developers. Because
Yes.
there might be a lot of the deployment work, or maybe some manual testing things, or maybe not having manual things at all, but having a lot of automation things like checking the metrics of the performance or doing some API backend work. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So let's jump into a concrete example, because I appreciate the people who are watching. Maybe they want to see a concrete example. I've got the Code Mortals website. So let's get an understanding of how the workflow would be. So me, as a CEO or founder or CTO, think, okay, we're getting lots of good development throughput, but just to reduce bugs, in my mind, reduce having a QA part of the process. Actually, that's probably a good question. How much does QA reduce bugs? Can you quantify that, or it does depend on every project, every company, etc., and so on?
Yes, you're right. There is a lot of dependencies there.
Okay, there's a lot of variables. We can maybe swing around and come back to that one. So going back to the flows. So me being whatever position I am, CTO, I think, right, I need to get some QA to reduce the bugs on our site. So how does the flow go? So I'd say, hey, Sergey, UTOR, we've got this website, Code Mortals, this platform. It's still really early days, and the quality is still pretty high. There obviously are probably a few bugs that we found, and there probably are some we haven't found. What would the flow be?
And you know what, Sergey will answer you? We are not reducing the amount of bugs. We can just helping you to identify them so you could fix them by your own. So, I mean, some customers think that they will put a QA as a something on top of it, and it will make the product 100% quality and bug free. This is not true. We're not fixing the bugs. We're just identifying them and trying to find them as earlier as possible and showing them to developers so they could fix it properly.
True, but you hit the nail on the head when you said trying to find them early, because later down the pipeline, as you go from local development to dev server to staging to production and the user picks it up, it's more costly when a bug or a problem is found. So the sooner it can be found, the cheaper it is to fix it, because it hasn't gone through all the other processes. So what stage do you usually get involved in? So do you get involved as early as the kind of when the PR is raised by the developer, and are you able to test it then before it even goes into develop and before it even say affects the rest of the team, or do you test it towards the end when it's ready for staging, like there's actually a packaged up release and it's getting ready to be deployed?
Well, you're absolutely right that QA quality assurance is not the part of your development cycle. It's a process itself. So yeah, you're right. The cost of bug grew a lot during the development process. So the cheapest bugs are when they are found in development, in feature design stage. So usually we prefer starting testing when we're working on feature design. So we're actually testing the documentation for this feature and searching for bugs even there, because there can be some tricky situations, there can be some integration stuff, new feature can affect some other features. So here is where we go into testing and go into quality checks. And after that, we continue our quality actions. Then we are testing PR, testing builds if it's an application, and we completed after even when we have some ticket from support team, it's still part of our work to take care over it and verify if it's a bug or the client is performing some extraordinary actions. So as I mentioned, QE is a process from very beginning to very end.
And do you try and tie it into their process? So some companies you might use Jira. So we use, for example, GitHub, as I showed before, to raise issues. So when a bug is found, would you use your own tools or do you tie into the client's tools?
Usually, I guess Sergey is trying to say something.
Yeah, like I just wanted to say that we are flexible, and usually we take a tools which they're used. But sometimes we propose for example, sometimes they use Trello for ticketing system, and I had Trello for this purpose. That's why we propose how we can do better, for example, using Jira or something, or like,
Yeah, so the idea is no matter where the ticket was submitted, the idea is to make it clear and understandable for the customer and development team, and easy to use and easy to fix that.
Okay, makes sense. So, are we
but in
ready?
real world,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, but in real world, like we're saying, everybody wants to start from the beginning, but the real world is the client comes to us at the middle of the development or at the end before the release. Hey guys, you know what? We forgot about quality assurance engineer at the beginning. I think we need help. So that's the problem, that people realize that this is a problem, not in the right time, just at the end of the development.
Everything is cracked up. Please help us.
Yeah, I guess they come to you when things are probably already on fire, rather than they're more reactive rather than proactive. They leave you to pick up the pieces. So I'm sure you have some amazing stories to tell, and maybe that's for another time. But yeah, I'm sure you have some good stories. I can see everyone smiling, so that's a yes. Anonymize the company. So company A said this, and etc. etc. Okay, another time.
But by the way, we have also good cases when the customers come into us into the start of the project and saying, "Hey guys, we want to make that quality proper, so please do your job."
Okay, that's good. Yes, true. I'm sure there are a few.
Yeah, but also it's quite a common situation when the company A comes to us and say, guys, we are having a release of new version in a week. Please do full regression testing here. We don't have documentation. Do it urgently. We had to release it yesterday. We are urgently doing things. And after that, they are releasing new version in 2 months because we found tons of bugs. And then guys say, oh, we have all those stuff here, and the release is declined due to all the stuff that has been found during the testing. So
and ideally would be if you'll do it for free.
Yeah, also common requirement. Yeah.
Do you find that people are usually majority of the time because they're being reactive, they're in a kind of emergency state, as in I need this, I need it done by tomorrow, I need it like right now, rather than hey, we should plan this like you do with development, right? You plan a sprint, we're going to plan this much work. Do you find, they're more reactive and they're more urgent, emergency, fire sort of stuff?
If to consider all our clients, just only 20% of them they know how to do these things. Like they understand the process, how it should be, how it works. Like that case, they should start from the beginning, like testing the specifications and all this stuff. And 80%, it just or in the middle of the development, they want to hire engineers like after MVP is created, or at the end. So the percentage is such like 20-80. Like the principle Pareto, like
the Pareto rule.
Yeah, Pareto rule. 80. So,
I hear quite a lot of
Sorry,
noise. It's okay. Are you riding off in a motorcycle?
yeah. Sorry, on my side, somebody was motorbiking here.
No worries. I missed the last bit. Can you repeat the last sentence?
What I said. Like I said that it's like a Pareto rule, 80-20. Like 20% of our clients, they understand everything, like how it should be, and we are really enjoy to work with such people. 80% we enjoy to work with them as well, but like the thing is that we should to correct the process which they have now.
Yeah, so mostly we're act as a teachers. So we're coming to their team and showing them how the process should be and how everything should work like.
We're showing all the risk which they have.
So that's interesting that you don't just, so a lot of your work is not just about doing the work and doing the QA, etc. and so forth, and documenting it and maybe reporting on it, but it's also the training side as well. So I think that's why you've probably done so well, is in people trust you because you're giving, yes, they're paying you for the QA side, but at the same time you're giving them training. It's all about that value. They probably feel they're getting more value for money because you're doing the training in top. And it's what Andrew always says, is he always tries to put himself out of a job either by automation or by teaching people on the project or in the company. So I think that's really good, and that's why you've been so successful, and why Andrew's been so successful is because I think that's important. People who try to shoehorn themselves into a company so they become this cog that can never be removed, even if they're an outside resource, they try and shoehorn themselves in there. I think that might work in the the short and medium term. But in the long term, people at the company start regretting that and so forth. So yeah, I think you're more likely to get recommended. I know you go a lot on recommendation. So I think more people are more likely to recommend you and trust you more if you do that. So it's great that you do. Do you share any of those resources online? If anyone watching wants to learn more about your flows and kind of the training that you do, not necessarily the full details, but maybe a high level of what you recommend, any of those resources available online?
Yeah, I can share or send you these resources, and you can connect to put it under the video on YouTube.
That'd be good. And also maybe put it in if you've got the live stream open, just stick it in the chat as well. It will be good for, but I can always add it to the video afterwards.
Okay.
So
I'll do it.
I'm just cautious of the time. I'm really keen to see what you thought of our platform. So I know you've had a play. I can see some of your team smiling, getting more comfortable. They're ready now to attack and to charge. Andrew's gone a bit defensive. He's sat back a little bit. No, I'm joking. So let's see. Okay, so if you talk where you want me to navigate to, so everyone can see what we're talking about, and we can maybe raise. I don't know if you've raised any issues yet, but I'm sure we can raise some issues as you find things. So now the last thing was July. So okay, let's go. You take the lead.
Just one question which I didn't mention before, like about the automation. Like we just discussed like maybe months ago with Victor about the Cypress, like the pluses and minuses of the automation using the Cypress. Am I right? Like, or was it another tool?
Probably was Cypress, because I know we do use it a lot and we do highly recommend it. So I'm sure we said how awesome it was. I don't remember what anyone else said, so you'd have to remind me. So maybe we can just recap.
Well, about
stuck.
Well, about Cypress, do you want to compare it with other tools, or actually, are you interested in our opinion about automation tools you're using for your testing?
I think it would be good to give a brief on both. So what are your thoughts? I think you've already spoken a bit about the automation side, how so it'd be good just to cover that again very quickly. And then what automation tools do you recommend, and what your thoughts are on Cypress?
Okay, so there are multiple tools for different sort of testing. For your project, Cypress is pretty okay because I don't know what do you use on the server side, but probably for UI you're using some UI frameworks or like React or something like that. So for that, Cypress is pretty cool and okay. Also, if you don't have a requirement to run your tests in different browsers, Cypress can also fit. Usually, I prefer using it when the project is not very complicated, does not require some extra stuff like integration with third-party services, email services, some data dump. Cypress do provide this, but still sometimes it can't cover all of our clients' needs. But still, it's very useful, well, very easy to write and create new tests. So probably for you, it would be okay to use it for your testing. So regarding the automation tools, that's all from my side.
Okay. Yeah, we've used Selenium and WebDriver in the past, and we found no one ever really tests cross-browser on those, so we didn't find them to be that part to be a benefit. So what we lost on that side with Cypress, we gained so many other things with it being so modern, it being able to mock our HTTP requests if you need to test boundary conditions and all the rest. We found there were just so many benefits. And I do believe that Cypress is going cross-browser in the near future. I think they're working on it, is my understanding. Andrew might know a bit more on that.
If I'm not mistaken, a week or two ago, they announced the first version of their framework. So now it has support of Firefox and, if I'm not mistaken, the Edge browser. So it goes across browser now.
Awesome.
And also, one more thing about Cypress, they also allow to perform the component testing, which is also quite good. And also they have integration with tools for visual regression testing. Say you want to verify that your UI is rendered correctly with Apply tools or with Percy, and if I'm not mistaken, they have integration for it. It's a bit different type of testing when you're not just perform the end-to-end scenario, but also verify the how things look on the page. And also, one more important feature of Cypress is their support of the coverage metrics, because very often we want to understand what things are covered by our tests. So they have integration with a tool called Istanbul, which actually can cover the things regarding the functions usage, UI usage, and provide the coverage metrics. Well, it looks like I'm trying to do some ads for Cypress. Yeah, but yeah, they have all those possibilities. But from my personal experience, sometimes Cypress is not enough for doing some sort of testing. Then I suggest using WebDriver.io, which is in some stuff which is more flexible than Cypress and a bit more complicated.
Okay, so are we ready to find some bugs and to QA our awesome platform?
Yeah, I'm just about to push up a branch that you can review in a minute with some tests in, so you can have a look at that afterwards.
I thought Andrew was coding away. I could see he had that coding face on.
No, I've fixed it all. The tests are all passing, 100% coverage. I'm going to push it up just to make sure that Circle, I've put the right commands into Circle to do the test as well. So the PR will go up shortly, but by all means, critique the manual side of it, and let's see what bugs I might have fixed as well on the API, if anyone's managed to find any by using the front end.
Okay, cool. So who wants to take the lead? Oops.
I don't know, maybe Alex. maybe Alexander will provide you a deep investigation. I've just found one bug regarding your application. I don't know whether I fix it or not. We can just try to reproduce it right now.
Let's do it.
So, yeah. Can you please open your profile? As far as I can see, you're logged in.
Of my profile, yeah.
Yeah. And you have a location London here, right?
Yeah.
Can you remove it?
Yep.
And try type in London. It should show the drop down there.
Okay.
Not fully London, but LON. Yeah. And try to select the item from drop down.
This one?
Yeah, and click it. And nothing happens here.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Here's your first bug found by UTOR. I guess Sergey can give you the invoice for our services.
Good joke.
Andrew, what's going on there?
I actually know about that one, but yeah, it's okay.
Is that because there's a delay? What's the
No,
reason
it's
behind
because
it?
I threw that on that page and I wanted to fix that page up because it's going to behave slightly differently in the future. I just didn't want people to be able to put something in there that wasn't what I want yet. It's okay.
Okay, got you. Just trying to understand it. So if I click that, it doesn't work. So how can I get it to work?
I'm not sure at the moment. I'm not really worried about it.
Okay, no worries. We'll raise an issue. Is there an issue raised?
No for now.
Okay. Do you want to raise an issue?
Sure, I guess I'll add it.
Raise an issue, and then
to your...
we can see also how you raise it. You know, it'd be really interesting to know. You know, do you take a screenshot? Do you explain it first? Do you use an animated GIF? I mean, really interested to see how you explain it. I think for the people watching, if you're able to put something together. I know it won't be perfect because you haven't got a lot of time. But if you could put roughly what you would normally put together, I think that'd be really interesting.
I can briefly, in a few words, just describe you what should we put there. So first, it should be the idea. Basically, the location click on location drop down item does not fill location field in profile page on profile page. So it would be the idea, which should describe the problem just in one sentence. And then we should provide the steps to reproduce, which is log in, open your profile, clean the location field, type the first 3 letters, say, of your location, and try to click the item in drop-down list. And then we provide the expected result, which is the field should be filled. And the actual result field is not filled with clicked location. Also, here we can provide some animation or video recording of these steps. And probably that's all. Ideally, I don't know about how you set up your GitHub repository, but also it should have the priority, severity, version of your application. And probably that's all. Usually in my team, we also set up the assigning because we know who will be working on the bug fix. But in your case, it should be probably you who will select the one to fix this bug.
Okay, awesome. That's good to hear. Nice. So 1 bug found already. And we can raise it later. And you've given us tips. You're right. Version. And then I guess the client can put the severity and the priority, because something like that, like Andrew said, is probably a low priority for us now. That could change in the future, but it's interesting to see. So cool. Okay, 1 bug found. Bug number 2 goes to.
Bug number 2 is let's carry on, Victor.
Well, basically, I was not diving a lot into the project itself, but usually we don't just fire bugs. We also provide, we also fire improvements, because usually QE is not just a tester or not just an engineer. It's most experienced user of your application. So from user perspective, I also provide some suggestions. As Sergey mentioned, it took a while for me to understand the purpose of this application. So it should probably be improved and be more user-oriented to understand what actually the application is. Because my first thought was that it's just a static website. And then I found that after a few clicks, I found the event stop and the ability to add the event. And also, I haven't seen that you have some restrictions for creating the events. Say, there are some security issues, like I can log in with my GitHub account and create tons of events with some spam messages, some links that can harm your machine. So probably you should add there some checks like captcha, I'm not a robot, etc., just to guarantee and prevent your application from spammers stuck.
Yep, some good points there. There are definitely some idiots who also have GitHub accounts. They could log in and add an event, or potentially some bots, like you said. We need to have a think and see how we can do that. Maybe, yeah, we'll have to have a think and see. But that's another idea to think about. Again, probably low for now, but it's still something to be aware of and see how we can do it. Maybe things need to be approved, maybe a reCAPTCHA, like you said, or maybe approved accounts. Again, but that's more of a manual step. If it's approved, it'd be good for something to be more automated. So nice, that's good. So so in addition to doing the QA side, you also provide suggestions on those sorts of things, which I think is really useful. A fresh pair of eyes is always really helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, and another small case, like an issue. I just sent a website to our community, and some of the testers, they just went through a little bit. And I send a link into Messenger here in Meet. Like I don't know if you can share it.
Where did you send the link? Sorry.
I sent the link here in the Google Hangouts.
Okay, in Google Hangouts. Yeah, it's just hiding behind. 1 second.
Okay, you can see it.
This one.
Yeah, like it's just small UI issue.
So, explain what Joxy is.
It's a tool for screenshotting. You just do a screenshot, it goes right to the cloud, and you can share a link.
Got you. Okay. And so.
Yeah. So there.
Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, there is something that relates. I don't actually know the steps. They haven't sent me a step. They send me just, oh, Sergey, here's small issue, UI issue. So I will ask them to write me more steps to reproduce it.
Yeah, tell them to raise an issue.
I will ask them not to write me the steps. I will asking them to file a bug in that thing. Yeah.
Nice. But yep, some overlaps. So that's good. It's good to see that.
Yeah.
Nice. We've got a few already, and that's I guess it'd be interesting to know how much time was spent to find those bugs. So from why has my screen sharing gone? Why is it decided to share another screen? Okay, it's the link screen that I click on, right? Okay, nice one, Google. It'd be interesting to know how long did you spend finding these? I know this was kind of a freebie, but it'd be interesting to know. And every project's obviously different. There are lots of variables, but to find these sorts of things, is that something you find kind of within a day? Do you usually need a week or two to get up and running?
Like usually, you mean like usually how much time it will take to test such website?
Yeah, to get started, because as soon as you find one issue or one suggestion, you start adding value straight back to the client. So you and your team have mentioned a few items. So would you those items and using our platform as an example, would you find those, do you think, within a day, or do you need a week or more to before you start finding, not to find everything, just to find one or two things to start kind of feeding that process?
It depends on the project. Like I remember a project where we found during 1 week $5,000, so it was a huge platform, but like it was, oh my god,
Minefield.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, to say back again, that finding the defects, it's not our target. It's kind of a side effect.
Okay.
yeah. So and sometimes like I don't know. It depends on the if you consider this website, I think it's like it will take like maybe
10.
15 hours, 10 hours to test. So something like that.
Yeah, so you're talking like days rather than weeks.
Yeah.
So it's a quick turnaround time in terms of to start getting feedback. And although you might dig deeper after those 2-3 days, but within those 2-3 days, the dev team can start maybe prioritizing the bugs or suggestions that you've made can start moving, is what I was thinking. Yes, you might find more 5-6 days later, but at least they can get started, I suppose, was what I was looking for.
And it depends
Yeah.
on it depends on the target of the project. Like if you want just to do functional testing, or you will get a like very big you will have a very big money in marketing during next 2 months, and you will have like loads of users. So you should do performance testing. If you need a security, it like will take 1 more day or 2 more days to test it. Like, yeah, it's dependent on the project and depend on the purposes of the project.
Yeah, or maybe if you need to show the demo for the customer, it's another target, another thing.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, makes sense. And I've just noticed our live stream has now dropped off because the time has passed. I think I did 1 to 2 UK time. So as soon as 2 o'clock has passed, it's dropped off. I've never actually seen that before. So I've obviously seen it 2 or 3 days later and see that it's disappeared. But now we've seen it gone immediately at 2 o'clock. So that's good. So that's not... I thought it might go at midnight tonight or something like that. So nice. Maybe midnight might make more sense. Again, it doesn't go immediately, but I guess technically correct, going immediately is correct, but maybe it's nice to keep it around for a bit longer as things are quiet, and when things get busier, then it'd be really interesting to see, I suppose, later on how many people are following this event or this person. I think that's quite an exciting thing to do. I think we should run a Code Mortals hackathon, Andrew, where we can get sort of like 2 or 3 features done over a weekend, and then see what we can do. Live stream that as well, right?
Yeah, well, that's why the link to location is broken at the minute, because we want to do that follow me piece, and that's going to tie the whole thing together. So until I know how the follow me is going to work, I didn't want it to. Well, it shouldn't. I probably should just take the field off there for now. But I realised that actually it's probably best that it doesn't work right at the minute. But we will fix that.
Sounds good. I noticed we've passed 2 o'clock. Is there anything else anyone else would like to add?
Well, it's up to you if you want to have a look at the PR that is up. The test momentarily is failing, but I know what the issue is. I just need to change the command that's running.
Don't look!
You want?
I'm covering my screen, which is kind of stupid because I'm sharing my screen, but my hand is kind of covering the screen anyway. Yeah. Yeah, we can have a look. Lots of changes. So ignoring code coverage. Circle CI. Can't believe we're spending time on Circle CI. So we're moving to GitHub Actions. That'll be another live stream, right, Andrew?
Yeah, probably. Got lots of live streams to do.
Yeah, just need the time to do them. That's the problem. I think I'll probably share the link and let people have a look in their own time rather than kind of keep everyone to look through the code.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a look on the CI. Hopefully, it should be going through now that we'll fix the reason. Well, whilst it passed with a bad pass. You always mention why that is. If you want to open up Circle.
Let's have a quick look.
Be a link from the PR. Yeah, if you click to the top where you've got the issue 104, so you can just focus on that for a moment.
Sorry, where am I looking?
104 on the
yeah.
navigation, the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
You'll see there was an API test a moment ago that's gone green. But if you open it up, this is where tests can be bad if you don't know enough about it. But if you look at the test API step, it didn't run the tests because I needed to call build. Actually, I'm probably calling the wrong one now. It should be build API probably on the CI. Sorry, I'm just going to change it to the one for local.
So no tests, but it's not
Might be alright, but local one might work.
No tests, but it still went green. So yeah, that's not good. So again, it comes why you need people checking things and reviewing things and so forth to make sure that there aren't false positives coming through.
Yeah, and now there's an interesting one that's come up as well. So I've set the CI to be on version 6 of Node, and it looks like version 6 of Node has got an issue with running the tests because there's a run command in Cucumber that's set for ES6. So that's going to be an interesting conversation we need to have. So Google Functions runs Node version 6.
That's so old.
So I set up Circle to use Node version 6 as well. Rather locally, I have Node 10 installed. So locally, I have access to async, but version 6 doesn't have async functions.
Interesting.
So the test is failing to run on Circles on Node 6. We need to decide, do we run Node 6 on the CI, which I would suggest we should, because we should be supporting whatever we're deploying to. I assume that everyone would agree with that whatever you run your CI on should match as close to the target deployment as possible. In which case, I probably need to change the tests to not use async functions inside the tests. So this is coming from Cucumber there.
Got you. Okay.
So yeah, the test will fail for the minute. I need to come up with an answer to that. Unfortunately, you can't see the 100% coverage or the coverage report that gets generated out the back of it. Not unless I swap to hosting, I suppose. I could share them locally, but we're out of time anyway.
That's fine. That's an interesting challenge. Versions of Node and features, especially the bigger features. So that's quite interesting. But you're right. Tying in your CI should be a similar sort of version, and you might run a version matrix where you might run it on the current version, and you might run it on the next versions. You might run it on 6 and 8 and 10. And so therefore that way you're more proactive. If there are any issues coming up in the future, you can be aware of them. Not necessarily fix them straight away, but at least the list can be made and can be made aware of those. So it's a good call. Awesome. Well, anything else you'd like to add? I'm conscious of time. We have overrun by 10 minutes. Hopefully people watching found this useful. I know I did. Sorry, you were going to say, Victor.
Yeah, just a few words. We were talking about the things searching for bugs, but I think that the test report is much more important than bug report. List of bugs just highlights you the existing problems, but I prefer using the report with the information about all the checks that were performed, because our goal is not to find bugs. Our goal is to highlight the state of your application. How good is it? We don't want to show that it has bugs. We want to show that it's okay, but might be better. So test report is probably more important, and status of your app is more important than number of bugs.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to highlight, because you're right. If you find, say, 10 bugs this month, and then next month you find 10 more bugs, then you're always probably going to find roughly the same amount of bugs and the same amount of quality or lack of. But if you're trying to improve the process, improve the application, and hopefully over time, the bugs that you do find as a side effect, as Alex mentioned, it will reduce naturally because you're helping them improve the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It just if to consider like quality control and quality assurance. Like quality control is more like to finding bugs, and quality assurance is more like to create a process in development which will help not to create a new bugs. That's the point.
Yeah, exactly right. You don't want to, what is the expression? You don't want to cure the symptoms. You want to solve the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you're correct.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for this awesome stream. I found it really, really useful, and it's good for me to look at Code Mortal's website again because it's I've been a bit bad, and gave us that nudge to get the next set of test coverage improved and up and so forth. I noticed a little bit of work to be done on that, but that was still really good. And it was great to catch up with everyone from all around the world. So we have Andrew in Winchester, in sunny UK with me. And then we have Sergey and his team, actually in different locations. So Sergey's team in sunny Ukraine, and Sergey's in wet and cold Bali.
Yeah.
How's the snow in Bali, Sergey?
They have different cities, like Victor in Odessa now, and Alex in Kiev city.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you work remotely.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice. Very cool. I like that.
And it's not that sunny as you would expect.
Eddie knows about remote work.
Remote work is the best. Do you want to see my office?
Yeah.
I have a button here to show my office. Here we go. So welcome to my messy command center.
Come on, it's not messy. It's nice.
And it's so messy. It really is. But yeah, so you don't hopefully see too much of the mess.
Why you don't use your big monitor?
I wasn't using it for now because I thought I'd be looking like kind of this direction a lot, and it's not my better side. But I do use the big monitor when I'm pairing with people. I put their screen up there, and then I share my screen on the right, and I use these two screens. It is pretty cool. So yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks everyone. Listen, everyone, wherever you are in the world, have a great day. And everyone watching, thank you so much. If you do have any questions, leave a comment on the video, and one of us will reply. And if we have the answer, we'll reply with the answer. If we don't have the answer, we will find out and let you know. So let's give a wave, and we'll see you all soon. I look forward to part 2.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.